I'm going to be working on this little bird here today. So this is a new page that I've started in the journal. I just kind of thought that I would maybe get the bird all sketched in before having to do that while talking to you, because I've got a really big announcement to make today. And I thought what I could do is if I just get started with my drawing and I'll work on this and try and talk to you about what's coming at the same time. So I'm on Instagram. I'm doing this live on Instagram right now. But if you're watching on Patreon or on YouTube, you're getting the recording of this. So just be aware that I might be responding to people in the comments and things like this as I talk about what I'm going to be talking about today. All right, so those of you who have been with me for a while or have been following me on my various channels for a long time will remember that I've had this idea kicking around for years that I've been trying to implement, which is the nature journaling circle. And you would have seen that appearing since probably, I'd say, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when I set up my Patreon for the first time. So I think that was August 2021. So actually it's over 2 years ago now, which is amazing to me because it's all gone so incredibly quickly, all of this. And the intention of that was to try and create a community around the style of nature journaling that I teach and that I do. So that is the going outside and really spending time in nature with a sketchbook and a pencil and nothing else. And then coming back and doing something like this based on all of that material. So the idea really is very much that you go out and you gather all your observations and notes, and then you come back and you turn that into something beautiful. And that's really the way that I've worked for a very long time. I'm setting up something new based around this concept of the nature journaling circle, which is something that I've been kicking around for over 2 years. And I started the idea really because I wanted to try and find a way to actually build a community around what I'm doing. And it's kind of over the time, since like sort of going more into Patreon and into YouTube, and kind of just the necessities of learning how to teach in this way and all of the rest of it, it's kind of become a little bit like I go out and I go record something and then I make a video about that, I make a class about that, and I sort of either give away or sell the recording. And that's kind of how this has sort of worked for, I guess, since about 2022. And the idea, with something like a nature journaling circle is to have a circle of people, a community of people who are interested in the same method. I want to learn more about the method based on the way that I do this. So, you may cross over into different communities. You may be involved in lots of different nature journaling or art communities. But my one, I kind of really want to focus it on the development of a method, and a method that I've been doing myself for many years now. So it's kind of, right now, it feels like I've got everything separated out. So I've got courses on my website. I've got these Zoom courses that are coming up. I've got Patreon, YouTube and Instagram, and a newsletter. And everything's kind of all in these separate little places. And it's very hard to kind of build a cohesive message around that when you're kind of in so many different locations doing this. And I think actually it's very hard to really show what it is that I'm trying to offer, what it is that I'm teaching, and where you should really go to learn more about what I'm doing. So I've been thinking really hard about it, and I've also been thinking about what kind of teaching I want to do, and how do I want my community to show up, and how do I want to show up for that community? What sort of people do I want to give this method to? And of course, the answer to that is you guys and everybody who's here watching now. And my favourite kind of teaching really is anything that's actually interactive with the audience. So, I did the World Wonder Conference this year, and that was a really wonderful experience. I did this Zoom class, kind of like what I'm doing right for you right now, but with layouts of my reference photos and also screen sharing and things like that. And really actually interacting with the audience that are actually there at the time. So I've decided that I'm going to set up a new membership, and I'm going to take my nature journaling circle idea, which currently it's existing as a forum, a completely free forum where you can come and share journal pages and talk about my courses and generally just sort of socialize and chat on a free, algorithm-free kind of online sort of way. I'm going to be expanding that, and it's going to become a much more of a community around where we actually meet up on Zoom and we talk about what we're doing, and I deliver tutorials on a monthly basis. So rather than the way that I'm doing it now, based on Patreon, where I've got my courses and my community's there, but we don't really interact all that much apart from just leaving comments, I want to do it in a way where week on week and month on month, we kind of all develop as artists together, and I'm on hand to help you out in a lot more detail than I currently can. And that's kind of how I want this to all work and how I want it all to come together in the future. Let's see if I've got a rubber in here. I've got to the point in this drawing now where I want to take the pencil lines away. Let's go find a rubber. Hold on, guys. I'm very disorganised today. Right, so the upshot of all of this basically is that I am going to be closing down my Patreon in December. So at the end of December, my Patreon is going to close and everything is going to go onto my website. So that's going to be the alexboonart.com website, which is where everything currently is. But most importantly, the new website, which will be naturejournalingcircle.com. And in there, you'll be able to get all my pre-recorded courses, so all the things I've already done, the How to Start a Nature Journal course, the Painting Nature in Dough and Inktense course, my Botanical Borders tutorial, and all of the other things that I've done and will do in the future. All of that's going to be up on there. There's also going to be these monthly tutorials. So that's all going to be on Zoom, and I'll be doing an hour of tuition. So it'll be like we're going to draw one thing using a particular medium, and I'll keep on trying to change that medium around to make sure that it covers all of the kinds of work that I usually do. So dough and Inktense, coloured pencil, collage, flower pressing, all sorts of stuff. Drawing, fine liner work, pretty much anything that I already do kind of right now. I'm going to be teaching that in a lot of detail in these hour tutorials. So after that hour is over, there'll be a half an hour discussion. So there's time to ask questions and we can really interact together as a group. And there'll also be a social hour. 1 hour per month. We hop onto Zoom together if you want to. And generally just you can ask questions, we can chat about what we've been doing. We can have critique sessions, just general kind of nice, friendly chat. And that's for all members. That'll be going once a month. Now, as well as all of this membership stuff, I'm going to be having Zoom classes. So I'm going to have a Zoom schedule, basically, of classes. The ones that I'm doing in person with my audience here in my in-person classes, I'll be developing those into online live tutorial Zoom sessions. So you don't have to be a member to join those ones. I'll be putting the schedule up on the website and you can kind of just book into those anyway. But if you are a member, you get them at half price. So that's 50% off any of my other classes. So that's going to be happening. And what else am I going to put in there? Discount codes for other things that I'm going to be doing. So there's another big announcement that will be coming up at some point towards the end of the year about an in-person nature journaling and meditation retreat that I'm hoping to put on in June 2024. Members will also be invited to come to that at a discounted price. So it's pretty much a lot more than what I'm already offering on Patreon. I found Patreon kind of hard to get along with. It's not really designed for educators. It's not really designed for online courses. It's really for influencers and content creators, YouTubers and musicians and people who can sell you a kind of digital product. And because I'm trying to do something that's so interactive, Patreon just didn't really feel like quite the right place to be doing that. I needed to bring it all together onto my own platform. So what's going to be happening then? I'm going to carry on doing precisely what I'm doing right now for another month until the end of the year. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to close up the Patreon and I'm going to pretty much set up the bare bones of this Nature Journaling Circle website and membership. So you'll be able to join it from January 2024 and the first Zoom and social sessions will be that month as well, so you'll be able to come and join it. And there'll be a special founders price that gets locked in, basically. So that's going to be £10 a month. So anybody who comes and joins straight away, I think the cut-off date is going to be February, end of February, I think. Yeah, start of March, I'm going to put the price up to £15 and then it will stay £15 for some time after that, for some undefined period of time, hopefully forever. It kind of all depends, doesn't it? But if you sign up to it at that founder's price, you'll get that for as long as you're a member. And there's also a annual discount as well, so you can pay annually and get 12 months for the price of 10 months. So all of your usual kind of stuff. And that'll all kind of be ready to go, fingers crossed, by January 2024. And it's kind of most basic possible level to kind of just get it started and then see how it goes. So it's going to be really, I guess, it's a community. We're all humans. I'm going to be developing as a teacher and a content creator the whole time that I'm doing this. And it's a place where we can share. You can share with me how you're getting on and help me to know what it is that you need from me. So what kind of sessions do you need for me to make so that we can just keep on developing and growing together as a group? And that's kind of always what I wanted to be doing, honestly. It was always kind of the plan. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be putting up a lot more about this. I'm going to be sharing a lot about it and developing it and getting you all interested and hopefully hoping to join over the next month or so. Kind of, you know, finishing off what I'm already doing, but really progressing towards this new goal. And I mean, things like, I just kind of want everything, I want to be in charge of all of this. You know, I find that places like Patreon, you're very trapped by the way that they want to do their business. And right now they've brought in all of these new features that are frankly annoying and difficult to get used to. An amazing thing that they did do was they allowed you as a creator to put all of your videos up for free, so 500 hours of video hosting. But then they recently said that they're going to start charging for this soon, and already they're taking on my side of the business, they're taking about 20% of everything that I'm earning. So I'm kind of feeling like I'm not actually getting my money's worth out of having all of my content up on there, because it's not really designed for what I'm doing with it, and it's kind of just not really working so great. So that's kind of why I've been looking into so much how to do this in a different way. I've also kind of heard apparently they're in a load of debt with all of these venture capital people, because over COVID they had this enormous investment of venture capital because so many people were using that platform. So many people were relying on creating content and wanted to go into doing this as their job. And because everybody was in, so there was a huge level of consumption for that. So they kind of apparently got a whole load of investment, and then things went back to how they were before COVID anyway. And that's why they're kind of scrambling to add all of these new features and start charging creators more for using these new features. So that's apparently the reason for it all. There we go, getting there. But all of that kind of got me thinking. It's like, well, how do I make sure that I'm really offering what my audience needs? And the best way to do that is to actually talk to everybody as much as possible, and to really have as close to in-person or face-to-face conversations, as close to that as actually possible within an online sphere. And that's kind of always what I really wanted to do with this. It's kind of using the tools of technology to try to get as much of an offline nature experience as possible, and develop those tools to actually just get you off of this tech and get you outside. That's kind of what this is all about. It's not really about us all sitting in front of screens and doing tutorials. It's about learning the skills to get going outside and enjoying and sketching outside and creating your own practice that doesn't rely on a screen. And I kind of feel that replicating the in-person feeling is what's going to really help to deliver that message. So that's kind of it, I think. That's what I'm going to be doing. It's, yeah, like Sarah's just said on Instagram that the new membership sounds very interactive and Patreon isn't very interactive. And it kind of isn't, because the most you can really do is leave a comment over there. And, you know, even with my forum, it's kind of, we're all just sitting there commenting at each other. And, you know, communities just feel, if you've got some sort of chat, some sort of in-person or face-to-face chat component of what you're doing, you just, it's just more human. It just builds up a kind of a real connection between the group. We all get to know each other and just really just grow together. And, you know, I'm just really, really keen on doing that. I've spent a lot of time recently, right, making videos where I sit in front of a camera and chat away to absolutely nobody. So not even streaming like this, not even just chatting away to nobody. And then sitting in front of a computer for hours, editing that down into a video, which then you deliver onto a platform. People leave a comment about it. And that's kind of it. That's sort of the end of the interaction at that point, until the next time that you make a video, and then it all kind of comes around again, and so on and so on. It means for me, there's a ton of time sat in front of a computer editing videos. So, you're kind of constantly doing that part of the making stuff. And I don't hate it. I love making YouTube videos, and I love making tutorials without the pressure of saying, I'm going to do this for this time, and I'm going to, make sure that I've got this available because I said I would. And I found recently that's been really hard. It's kind of, I've overpromised a lot with my Patreon, saying I am going to make sure that I get this out for this time, and I'm just constantly putting the deadline back because I've found that I just really struggle with that. Whereas with an in-person class, like, you just kind of, you sit down, like I'm doing now, I'm doing this bird, I'm going to chat to you about how I'm doing it, I'm going to give you a whole load of techniques about how I'm doing it, and then we're going to talk about that afterwards. And I will develop as a speaker and a teacher by actually having feedback there and then from the people who are learning the methods that I'm teaching. And I'm really excited about that. That's going to be wonderful, because a lot of it has kind of felt like guesswork, and I'm trying to critique and evaluate my own videos and, gradually get better over time. But there's nothing like some immediate feedback and some discussion about what can be done better and what you actually need. I'm just really excited about that. So anyway, that's what's happening, and I'm going to be developing that over the coming months. And persevere with me, because I'm going to be talking about it quite a lot, because I kind of just really want to make sure that I make this good. And I'll be asking lots of questions. I'll be talking about it on the newsletter. And if you want to hear more about it, that's the place to be right now, because nothing is really set up. Basically, don't bother joining my Patreon anymore, unless you're like a really big fan of just giving me money for the sake of supporting me, which is great. Please do that. But I'm not going to be adding too much more up there, apart from the courses that I've already promised and the things that I've already said that I'm going to do, things like putting up these Instagram lives, stuff like that. But it's kind of really going to be winding down now. So just keep a really close eye on my newsletter and on here and on my YouTube, where I'm going to be, talking a lot about it and maybe making some changes based on feedback and so on. And you'll be able to sign up for it as soon as it's available. Yeah, it's really good to be able to get actual feedback from tutors. I will be able to give you feedback on the things that you create from my tutorials. And I find that actually when you're online, sometimes tutorial feedbacks can feel really harsh. Like if a recorded video tutorial, if someone puts up, I'm trying to keep things really friendly on my community, so I don't actually really allow too much critiquing. But it can feel, because there's no tone of voice, there's no face, it kind of can feel very, it's easy to take it the wrong way. It can feel demotivating if you get negative or sort of even constructive criticism can just feel like criticism if it's delivered without a real human face talking to you. So that's the great thing about in-person teaching, actually. So like Louise says, it's much more like real in-person teaching, where I go around the room when I'm teaching. If I have a class, I get everybody started on the exercise, and then one by one I go around and I say to them what they're struggling with, ask what they're struggling with, and say what they could try. What will help you right now to make a better picture, or to make you feel better about the picture that you're creating. And that's kind of what I want to be able to do online. It's very difficult to do that via a comment thread. You just really need to have an actual human delivery of, here's what you need to do if you want to develop your technique a little bit further. But don't worry, it's not because you're awful, and it's just it's just a way to improve. And I find that, especially like in-person classes, I can look at people's work, and because I've been doing this for ages, I can see what the problem is, and that is so valuable. People have been saying to me that they just are really delighted that I've been able to help them to get a better piece of work and to see what the problem was, because otherwise we just keep on repeating mistakes and repeating those mistakes over and over again because you don't really know how to stop repeating the mistakes. And that's kind of how I want it to go from next year. I want to just take that wonderful experience of getting people to develop as journalists, as artists, as writers, and kind of have that, but online. Yeah. So in classes, Louise has just said you kind of learn from the group. And I think that's why the sort of journal share and social hour type thing would be really wonderful. So it's not just the kind of the discussions after the class is finished and, we talk through everybody's work and so on. It's also just the sharing of tips. And it happens so often in my classes. I feel like I learn I learn from the students as well. So I learn things that I thought, I often think, oh, that was a really good idea. Someone's decided to do something really clever. Like actually in my class on Monday, we were doing leaf paintings, and one of the students there, Jane, she was swatching all of the colours on her palette sheet in the Inktense and laying the leaves next to them. And so she had like the leaves on the paper and then all her swatches sitting around the leaves. Oh, God, that's a clever idea. I've never tried doing that before. What an excellent thought. And that's kind of the sort of thing that can happen when a community comes together in this sort of way. Even the teacher will learn things from the students and we all just share and grow as a group. Oh, this barring here on this peregrine's chest, that's a bit tricky. It's tricky. I'm trying to do it in maybe 3 or 4 different browns because of my reference photo, which you'll be able to see in the YouTube video, but you won't be able to see on Instagram, unfortunately. This is actually quite dark, this area up here. So I'm sort of building up layers and then I'm going to do a dark colour over the top and these bars will show through underneath. So they don't have to be perfect because they're going to be kind of obscured, but they do need to make some sort of sense. And it's tricky when a bird's sitting in this kind of position. It's almost like all of these rows of feathers have all kind of ruffled up and I'm trying to make sense of that visually whilst talking at the same time. This is fun. And this is kind of the practice actually, because I'm going to be doing a lot of this in the Nature Journaling Circle in its new iteration. I'm going to be drawing something and talking about it. Now, I'm never going to be doing anything quite this ambitious, I'll say, in these sessions, unless we agree to do something over a whole bunch of months. So maybe as a group, we might decide that we're going to do a painting. We're going to spread over 3 tutorials because you want to learn how to do it all together, we can do that. And I'll certainly be doing things like that in some of the scheduled Zoom sessions that are going to be going ahead, outside of the membership. But usually it's going to be one subject. It'll be a drawing a little bit smaller than this, maybe like, half the size of this. And we'll just keep on picking a different subject. So I'm going to, be constantly, as I normally do, going out, gathering reference photos, gathering observations, and we'll be using those in the classes. So it's always going to be my photographs. It's always going to be wildlife and plants and things that I've actually interacted with. And, so I really know I've really had that experience with whatever it is, and I'll be able to show you, how I've gathered that information as well. And then how to draw whatever it is in whatever medium we're using that month. Oh, it's so good to have sorted the tech issues out. I can see it on the screen in front of me and actually see it working, which is such a relief. I'm going to be doing various things with my tech setup. So firstly, making sure that glitches don't really happen as often, and actually using my computer is far more reliable than using my phone. So this is kind of streaming on my phone just now. So it'll all be done on the computer. It will always have the reference photo available on the screen, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing. You'll be able to see the reference photo, and from time to time, I'll be able to put my webcam up, so you'll be able to see me when I'm talking to you as well, when needed. And that's the sort of setup I'm going to be using on YouTube quite a lot as well. I'll be doing free versions of these tutorials, by the way, so you don't have to join the membership. It's just if you join the membership, you get the community side, you get the regular continuity of it, whereas on YouTube I'll kind of just be sticking tutorials up here and there because I want to show you what I'm doing. But the real experience of this is going to be through the website. Yeah, so what else can I say? I'm using black right now, by the way, and I know I don't often like black, and certainly in Inktense and the Inktense tutorials I've been doing recently for the Inktense course, I've been saying don't use black, use charcoal grey or burnt umber or Payne's grey. But actually in coloured pencil, when you're going to be doing a ton of blending, black is great. It works very well as a bottom layer as well, because as long as you don't press too hard, you just get this lovely grey. And it blends lovely with other colours. And I think that a lot of us use different mediums now. There's not really so many people who just use watercolour or just use coloured pencils, and a lot of the people that I work with, especially in person, want to keep on trying different things. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to keep on changing the medium. So there will be a lot of Inktense and a lot of coloured pencil. But there'll also be stuff like watercolours. There'll be some drawing classes where we're just using pencil. There'll be some graphite wash classes, because graphite wash is great thing to use. And just, focusing on different things each week, or each month rather. So we're constantly kind of developing skills as a group. And then there's my community forum that's already there. That's going to be expanding. There's going to be more spaces on it. I think at the moment my platform, it allows me to have 5 spaces on it, but that's going to go up to 10 when I change my membership, my platform fee basically for my online website platform. So it'll allow me to have 10 spaces. So in there, that's where we can have sharing of each other's work from the tutorials as well. So if you can't kind of make the in-person thing to do the sharing part, then you can do it there. It's a lot more community building than Patreon is, so you're actually able to post your own work and all of the rest of that. So I'm just going to kind of use the forum that I've already got there. So if you haven't joined that, maybe go join that. It's just going to become a lot more targeted towards the tutorials that I'm doing already. You'll still be able to share your work from outside of the tutorials. It's just that it won't have as much of a focus on that. By the way, there will be recordings of all of these Zoom classes. So when you sign up to the membership, you get the whole library of all of the tutorials that have ever happened. So they're kind of always being kept. So I'll be recording only the first part, so the hour tutorial, and then the recordings go off for the social part. Because I don't want to scare you all off from contributing. Right, get in there. Let's put some yellow into this. So I'm probably going to carry on here on Instagram for, say, like another 10 minutes maybe, because I had to start really late because of these tech issues. So let's see how much further I can get. I'm actually kind of motoring on in this drawing. I didn't think I was going to get this far with it, because talking whilst drawing is really hard. Getting better, but it's still really hard. Takes a while. Slows you down. Yeah, I've heard of Padlet. I've heard of that. But the thing is, with things like that, is yet another thing. It's kind of, I've already got so many of these little things. I've got like my forum, I've got the Patreon, my website platform thing with where all my classes are, Zoom, YouTube, Instagram, newsletter, and that's just kind of the online stuff. What I want to do is kind of avoid having too many different places to send people. So it's kind of like, if you're on Patreon, you then have to join. I used to have a Discord where we had the community, but only a few of the people who were on my Patreon actually wanted to join a Discord. So it's another tech barrier, basically. It's like everything is in a separate place and you just keep on having to sign up for another thing. Whereas with my nature journaling circle, you sign up for one account through the nature journaling circle or through Alex Boone Art as it currently is. That's it. That does your community forum. It does all the access to all of the videos, and it will also do all of the links to Zoom. So you'll be able to click onto the Zoom through that website. Everything in one place, easy to find, easy to send people to, easy to sign up for, and no extra stuff. That's kind of the idea. It's yeah, exactly. I find that certainly for my in-person classes, I get a lot of people who either are fairly old and aren't very keen on tech, or are technophobic. And they just want to go to a place and see the thing. They don't want to have to sign up for loads of memberships. And because we're all outdoorsy nature people, anybody who's drawn to doing this sort of thing really doesn't want to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how the hell does this thing work. Me on Discord, when I first started using it, oh my God, what is this? Why did I keep on ending up in these voice channels that kept trying to use my microphone when there was no one else in there? Oh dear. And if I can't do it, yeah. I just want to make it as simple as possible, definitely. Just kind of make it a thing that anyone can join. And if you can handle Zoom, which, to be honest, after this pandemic we lived through, most people can handle Zoom now. If you can handle Zoom, you can sign up with a Google login onto my website. You're done. That's it. You don't even have to make a separate password if you don't want to. Yes, really getting there with this bird. Let's see there you go, see the tip a little bit better there. I'm quite pleased with that. I've managed to not only figure out, how to tell everybody about this new thing, but I've also managed to do a whole ton of work on this page. So this is the Undercliffs project, by the way. It's still plugging along. And I've done a bit of a crazy thing. And I was signed up to do this exhibition at Lyme Regis Museum, so I had to get everything finished for that exhibition at the museum in July. Well, I've only gone and signed myself up for an exhibition in May, also in Lyme Regis, but in the Town Mill. So now my deadline date has moved from July to May. So as if things aren't crazy enough, So the next few months, as well as setting all of this up, I'm really going to be blasting on this journal and this project. So you're going to see a lot coming up on YouTube and on Instagram of pages getting done in here, because I've really at this stage got no choice but to crack on. If there's going to be anything on those walls in May next year, I've really got to get this done. So yeah, expect lots more coloured pencil drawings showing up everywhere, and a bit less Inktense. How are we doing? We've got a few more minutes. You see that I quite like to, I'll pick a colour, this is burnt umber, and I'm just going to do as much of that colour as I can, sort of across this whole bird. So I'm kind of finding where that colour exists in my reference photo and just trying to put in as much as I can. It's a good way to speed up, because you are just doing the area of one pencil, you're not thinking about changing colours straight away. So it's quite good to do that if you want to be more efficient. He's got these lovely big puffy boots, the Peregrine Falcon that I'm drawing right now. I think it was quite windy that day as well, so he's kind of like all fluffed up. It's great. I'm hoping, in the new membership, that I'm just going to keep on getting out and seeing things like this. Be able to share the videos and the photos of these things for you to work on. Yeah. So I'm hoping, at the moment, the platform that I've set up on, it's kind of it won't allow you to post more than one photo, so you have to kind of keep on posting them as a thread. But the inside part of that, so not the forum, but the side that I see as the teacher and the creator, I can put big galleries of things into there, so I can share lots of reference photos with the group, lots of things that you can use in your own paintings. And that's royalty free, by the way. If you're a member, you can just come and use this stuff. That's fine. These wonderful bars. Such a beautiful bird. Right. I think that's probably about all I'm going to say for now, because I've got a lot of setting up to do, and some of these things might change, but I'm going to be, this is going up on Patreon as a free post, so you can leave comments on there about what you think. I'm about to make a Instagram post about this as well, and this video is going to be up on YouTube. So there's a whole load of ways that you can come and talk to me about what you think of this, and if there's anything that you think would be better or that you'd like to see, if you were to join a membership that I create and there's something that you'd like to see in it, I really want to hear about that. I really need to know what it is that would be the thing that will clinch you joining it, that will make you really want to be a part of this thing that I'm doing. So if there's something that you think that I'm missing that would be really great, there's loads of places, that you can come and talk to me. And that's kind of starting right now. So I've got a message up on Instagram from Tiffany. Oh, thank you. Yeah, she says that she likes the idea of a simplified approach and following a content wherever I am. Tiffany is one of my oldest, probably, I'm not sure whether the longest Patreon. Yeah, so thank you so much, because, it's really reassuring to be, when you're leaving a platform that's got a group on there, to know that people are going to come with. Because there's about 40-something paid members on my Patreon just now. And really, I just want to make something that's better than the Patreon, so that the people like Tiffany, who have been supporting me a long time, are really getting a lot more out of it from, you know, out of their contribution to me. So thank you, Tiffany. And, you know, if you are a Patreon supporter, just come and chat to me on Patreon. There's going to be some free posts up there about this, and this video is going up there as well. So you can come and tell me what you think on there as well. Right, I think I'm done. So thank you everybody for listening to me while I've talked about this. I'm going to basically just bung this video up onto Patreon and onto YouTube now, with the reference photo for this, by the way. So if you want to see that, you can go and look at it there. I'm not going to edit the video too much, so you know, there will be a load of waffle in there, but hey, it's fine. So thank you so much for joining me on Instagram. And yeah, like I said, there's a load of places where you can come and tell me about your ideas, about what you think I should be doing and what you'd like to see. And yeah, if you think I'm being crazy, you can tell me that as well. So thanks everybody. I will log out now and see you all soon.